Okay, you're aware in Honors Pre-Calc that we've had a couple labs assigned. We haven't graded either one of them. We've had periods of time where I'm not allowed to grade and whatever. Well, those times are over with, so now we have time where I can grade some stuff. Today, you know, is the top 20. Hopefully you studied for that thing. And we're going to also, the only homework we're going to have for tonight is you need to have both labs ready to be graded tomorrow. Okay? You may know that quite a few of the other classes aren't even taking the test you took on Friday until tomorrow. If you don't know that, it's true. Okay, so we're a little bit ahead, but we're kind of behind because they've already graded labs and we haven't. All right, so we'll kind of catch up on that right here. The lab, first of all, let's talk about, there's two labs. One's been assigned since, it's like 2 weeks now. That one was the Venn diagram lab. You asked a whole bunch of friends a question and blah, blah, blah. I got a lot of questions about what's the difference between procedures section. Like when you're writing this up, you have this little category called procedures, and you have a section called calculations. What's the difference? Procedures where you would say in words what you should do to solve the question. Like the procedures for your Venn diagram lab, you would say, well, first of all, I had to decide what my question was going to be. Then I asked 30 of my closest friends, or whatever your number is, I don't know, I had some kids do 30. 30 of my friends, how many of them, whatever. And again, if you only ask 12, that's fine. Maybe you have a smaller friend group or whatever. So you asked them this question, and then you recorded it, and then you made a Venn diagram out of it, and then that's what you say in words. That's the procedure section, is you say what you did. Calculations is where you actually show math happening. Like, where would there be a calculation in this lab? For instance, you're supposed to make questions. It says right on the lab, make some questions up about your Venn diagram. Listen, guys. You make up these questions about your Venn diagram. Well, then to answer those questions, you need to show the math. Like, well, to do this one, I got to take 2 divided by 17 to get the decimal, and then that's the percent. Anyway, you show your work on how you answer your questions. That would be the calculations section. That's where you're showing your work. Okay, like if you were solving an equation here you might say in the procedure section, I got to times everything by 3. Here you actually times everything by 3 and you show the work of that and you get the answer. All right, so make sure both labs are done for tomorrow. Okay, the other lab was assigned more recently. It's called the Mad Mouse lab. Now, I will be upfront with you and say you should work on that tonight because you have no other homework, but I am realistically not going to be able to get that one graded tomorrow. But for any day starting after tomorrow, it's due tomorrow, so I can assign it and have it actually get graded on Friday. I'll decide when to grade it. But the other one's been assigned so long, I want to get that one graded for sure tomorrow. Now, if you don't know more about the Mad Mouse Lab, read it. If you haven't even looked at it yet, it's been assigned for a while now. You got no other homework tonight. Go look at your Mad Mouse Lab. All right. Then, today is a top 20, so those listening along at home, all we're going to do is do a little bit of review for the top 20. So, what I'd like you to do for that is pull out one of the old paper versions of the top 20 and look and see if there's any question you want me to answer before we actually take the top 20. If you know there's a certain kind you always get wrong, ask. You're about to take it. I can teach you right now. Yes? Just read me a problem and then I'll see it on the board.
Alright,
Guys, stop talking when I'm talking. Okay, keep going. All right. First of all, is it solved for B right now? No, what's it solved for right now? It's solved for A. And just so you know the terminology here, it's solved in terms of B, H, and F. In terms of. All right, so if I'm going to solve it for B, that means I want this one alone. So how do I get it solved for B? Well, first step is I'm going to get rid of the fraction. Do you remember me saying that I always recommend getting rid of fractions when you can? See, it times by the denominator. So if you had this one on the top 20, do you get why I just times both sides by 2? Because it made it better. This fraction isn't here anymore. 2 times a half is gone. Just 1. Now, is B alone yet? No, I need one more step. Yeah, you can do it in one step. instead of getting rid of the h and the f separate, divide by hf on both sides, and they'll cancel, and the b is alone. That makes sense to you? All right. So if I were you, the little steps, I would circle the thing you're trying to solve for, and then I just try to carefully get rid of the things that are by it. Like I got rid of the 1/2, and then I got rid of the HF. All right. Who's got another one that you'd like to talk about? Yes?
Solve for 21x.
You're going to solve that. My saying is if you can factor it, you should. My favorite saying is if you can factor it, you should. So what can factor into all of these? Hint, not just an x or parentheses, a 3. Let's go is there anything bigger, like a 5? Nope, 5 doesn't go into the first and last ones. I guess 3 is it. So 3 comes out. What do I have left? 7x squared minus 5x minus 2. Now, if you couldn't have done that, I get you got to look for growth and stuff. But if you really can't factor a 3 out of all of those terms, then I don't know if you want to be in honors pre-calc. Okay, this is a hard class, and if you have just one thing you don't understand and this is it, well, cool. But if there's a lot of things like that that you don't get, the deadline for this class is this Friday. Okay, and if there's a ton of basics that you're still not good at, either fix them now or decide it's probably better if I move to the regular class. All right, so if I factor that 3 out of everything, then there's still more factoring. This is the hard part. I mean, I'm just saying, if you can't get a 3 out of there, I'm a little scared for you. Not that you wouldn't make a mistake. I make little mistakes all the time, but if you don't know how, that's different. Okay. And now I'm going to say 7x and x. Why? Well, because 7x times x. Do you really need to talk to him right now? I don't think you do. All right. 7x times x makes 7x squared. And then this and this have to multiply to -2. A lot of people mistakenly think that this times this have to add to that. They do not. They just have to multiply to -2. Well, that leaves you very few choices. 2 and 1. That's the only way to make it 2. Except one is going to be negative. Not both, but one of them. Now that's where I have a little bit of play. I can like say maybe that one's positive and this one's negative. I'm not sure. Now how do I know if I'm right? This is the hard factoring, and you've got to be able to do this. This class leans a lot on factoring. When I put these together, I get -7x and +2x, and I actually lucked out, and I got -5 right off the bat. Do you get that if I would have had this backwards, do you get I would have had +5x, which is not what I wanted? This would have been, I'm trying to get -5x here. And then if I get the opposite sign, I switch the signs around. Do you get, I also got lucky on this 2 and the 1. If I'd have put them here and here, it would not have worked. Why? Because I'd have gotten -14x for the outside and 1x for the inside, and 14 and a 1 certainly don't make 5. All right. If it feels like I'm speaking Greek to you, it means you're not good at factoring, and factoring is huge. I've given you 2 weeks already to practice this stuff. You've got to learn how to factor. That's from a long time ago. You're in honors pre-calc. All right. So that's factored and done unless they wanted me to solve. Is that what the question said? All right. If they want me to solve, then I set up 2 equations. Either this equals 0 or this equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0 or 7x plus 1 equals 0. A little mini bite-sized equation. Kind of fun to solve because they're so easy. And then there's your 2 answers. X equals -1/7 and x equals +2. Long story short, you factor it, you set it equal to 0, you make 2 little equations, and you solve them. I know that's not easy, but you were tested on this in higher algebra. You were tested on it in algebra, except the factoring wasn't that tough in algebra. So better to be upfront with you and say, this is what you need to know how to do. You should have learned this before, and give you a chance to fix it. But the scary part is that some of you is not getting any better. When I look at your score on the second one, it was like worse than the first one. Well, that means that you're not actually trying real hard if you didn't get any better from day one. Okay? And I noted a lot of people did get a lot better, which is awesome. And hopefully today, you're going to show me that you've gotten a lot better. Okay, so tonight's only homework, be ready with the labs. And the lab says exactly what you're supposed to do in it. And I get that some of you might want to ask me some questions about that Mad Mouse lab tomorrow. But at least you better be started on it. Can't be at 0. The other lab is for sure going to be graded tomorrow, the Venn diagram one. Okay, so we're going to take top 20, and that's the only thing people that are missing today are going to have to make up is the top 20 part.